Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Unicorn Trajectory podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, Thuc Vu, who is CEO and co-founder of OhmniLabs, a Silicon Valley-based robotics and AI startup.
The need for healthcare services is growing, and providers are turning toward innovative solutions like virtual care to meet the demand. Omni Telepresence is at the forefront of this movement, setting a new standard for virtual care in hospitals, healthcare organizations, and provider agencies.
Hello, Thuc, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Skye. Thanks for having me. Very excited to be on your podcast.
Yes. May you introduce yourself and the company to the audience?
So I actually grew up in Vietnam. I've been in the US about 25 years now. Started out with undergrad at Carnegie Mellon and then PhD at Stanford, focusing on AI for both programs. And so I've been doing research on AI since early 2000, before AI was even a thing. Very interesting to see how the landscape has shifted over the years. But in 2010, right after Stanford, I started my first company, Katango, and then it was acquired by Google end of 2011. So I stayed at Google for a few years and then decided to leave Google end of 2014 to start OhmniLabs with two co-founders.
Omni is a fully mobile robot equipped with high-definition video and audio for two-way communication that feels as natural and personal as any face-to-face interaction. Designed for versatility, Omni Telepresence robots seamlessly integrate into a variety of healthcare settings.
At OhmniLabs, we have been developing a modular AI and robotics platform that enable us to build different robotic solutions faster and at lower cost. And during the pandemic, personally, I went through two major lockdowns. And so I witnessed firsthand how fragile, overwhelmed, and understaffed the healthcare system were. And hospitals started to reach out and buying our robots for different use cases during the time. So one of them is, for example, communication. A lot of patients with COVID, they got quarantined, and some of them actually passed away, right, without even be able to see their family members. It's very, very tragic. And so hospital bought our robots so that the family members can dial into the robot and interact with these patients during quarantine. And the needs, start to grow from there. So by talking to them, they mentioned a lot about, for example, disinfection, which is another task that very time-consuming, labor-intensive, but crucial for hospital. But they just could not keep up with the demand, the needs for disinfection. And this is where our robots can fit in perfectly, providing all this autonomous disinfection with UV light so that the hospital can disinfect now patient room or operating rooms in much less time than before, but with like a better, consistent, more efficient disinfection as well.
And it goes from there.
Yeah.
To automating hospital, like all the way.
Yeah. And we've been focusing on the healthcare sector since the pandemic, just because we see there's a massive need for automation in this space, especially with the labor shortages, rising labor costs, and then equipped with the increasing in terms of demand for care because of the aging population. Robots can help with the mundane, repetitive tasks, what they usually call the 3D, dull, dirty, and dangerous, right? So that care provider can really focus on what they do best, interacting with the patient, taking care of the patient. And so that's, where we're heading with OhmniLabs and our robots.
Which is very interesting to me. Coming from a tech background, I was doing growth and expansion for massive like ride hailing and food delivery and super app and all kind of thing. But the there are a lot of things that we can do with technology, and it can change the world in so many ways, but we always need to go back to find like a more simpler use case to
Mhm.
actually go to market and build a customer base, and then from there we'll start changing the world like one person at a time, right? Like at my ride hailing time, after we build the customer base with ride hailing and food delivery, that is where we can build like fintech product on top of those, and that really becomes something that will give like access to banking and credit to so many like people. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting angle that you're taking thoughts from something that it's so like sci-fi inspired to something that actually useful in the hospital.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I love what you said. Yeah, but I would just change one word, one robot at a time. Changing the world with one bot at a
Changing
time.
the
Yeah,
yeah,
for
one
us,
bot at a time.
that's in our case, yes.
Yeah, you change the world one bot at a time. I change the world like one person and one conversation at a time, right?
Yeah.
We're on the same team here. Building a deep tech company, especially like a robotics and AI company like OhmniLabs, involves complex hardware and software solutions and integration. What are the challenges you face in architecting such solutions, and how do you overcome them?
Yeah, so people usually say hardware is hard, right? And I would say robotics even harder. Yeah, it requires a lot of different expertise and experience. You need to build the hardware, you need to write or have the firmware, you have the software, UI, UX, you need to have AI, let's say autonomy, then you need to have like the cloud system for like managing these robots. It's like, oh, it's so many different things that have to come together to make the product work. And so for us, basically, we have a couple of different teams that focusing on different area. The software team is in Vietnam, and we have a hardware team in the US, um, focusing more on like robotics and manufacturing. One of the approach that we took and seems like very helpful is that we use low cost hardware, but we use the software. We write very sophisticated software to improve the quality of the product. And so let's say, motors, right? We use this low cost motors, so it might not be accurate, when the robot is turning and things like that. But we write the software so that we can compensate for those errors. And so in terms of being a hardware company, I think the couple of challenges here, for example, the speed of iteration is much lower than a software company, and the cost of finding product market fit is a lot higher, because let's say you want to test out your products, you need to make them, you need to prototype them, you need to ship the product to the customers, and it's very hard for you to like changing the product on the fly, right? Updating it, things like that, so that you test out A/B testing different features. So for hardware, it's almost impossible. But we have a really interesting approach here that we use additive manufacturing process, essentially 3D printing.
You seem to have like a very interesting office, and I when I mean office, I say the manufacturing facilities, right? So just a side note, like I have a degree in product design, like from one of the
Oh,
best universities that offering this degree in the world. So it's actually
awesome.
one of my favorite things back in the day was to play with all of these 3D printing and a lot of different ways to come up with product like pretty fast to solve like social problems, right? And without a lot of these manufacturing advanced manufacturing technology and also material technology, is actually the speed of solving problem and iterating it's very slow, which is like big problem in traditional like industries, right? Um, but definitely like 3D printing, it's the way to go.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and we sort of stumble onto this, almost like not by choice, but by necessity. So we started out with prototyping, using all these 3D printers to prototype robots, right? And then as we start rolling out the products, the cost of going to, let's say, to China for contract manufacturing is so high that we're like, okay, let's just like stick with this 3D printing approach for a little bit more, and just it's keep rolling up until it become like a thing.
Yeah. And that can become like your IP as well. It's not only just the robot, but
Absolutely.
how you make the robot, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Can you share a notable success stories or use cases where OhmniLab robot solutions have made significant impact on either healthcare delivery or patient outcomes in the hospital?
Yeah, so a couple of really interesting highlights. For example, one of the largest veteran affairs hospital in the US have been using our robots, and they managed to reduce half of their turnover time. So turnover time is when the room, let's say, had a surgery room, right? A patient that just got the surgery done, and then another patient come in, but in the between, they need to like clean the room and then disinfect on top of it. So now we reduce half of it, half of the time to disinfect. And so this means a couple of different things. One is that now the team can finally squeeze in disinfection between the surgery cases. Sometimes they're so busy, they don't have the time. And this is very scary, right? This is why HAI is on the rise. But secondly, now they can treat more cases because each of the disinfection is usually will take 45 minutes to an hour, for example. And now you get it down to like 10, 15 minutes. It's something very, very significant. We have some other case in which, like a large hospital system in Florida, they used to have 4 to 5 cross-infection case per year, but now since they start using the robot, it's cut down to 0. And so I think that's something very significant because each of the cross-infection HAI would potentially cost the hospitals millions of dollars in terms of penalty, lawsuit, medical bill, and potentially causing the life of the patient as well.
Yeah. So, as someone deeply involved in AI and robotics, what role do you see this technology playing in transforming healthcare delivery?
Yeah, I think they're already playing a massive role in transforming healthcare, and will continue to do so for years to come. And a lot of people are worried about this new technology replacing human, but I don't think that will be the case here. I believe that this technology will be assisting people to do their tasks better, faster, more efficient. For example, the nurse or the doctors, right? Even on like diagnosis, for example, now AI can do really good diagnosis with, say, X-ray or looking at the scan and try to see if there's something wrong, right? The accuracy now is actually better than human, but there is always a human in the loop, whether it's a radiologist or a nurse or a doctor, to verify the result and also to guide the technology. And so what we will see is that the nurses, the doctors will become a lot more efficient when they deploy this new technology. And all this technology will help them improve the quality and consistent of care that they provide for the patient.
Because a lot of doctors and nurses, they're just exhausted, right? And they're exhausted from a lot of the mundane tasks and work, and it just reduce their cognitive capacity. Whereas where we can use the robots to take care of all the mundane tasks and reserve the precious human like cognitive ability to actually deliver the thing that the diagnostic and the care that only humans can provide, right?
Yeah.
All right, next questions. OhmniLabs offers a range of robotics solutions for healthcare settings and especially making hospitals smarter, right? From disinfection robots to virtual care robots. So, how do you prioritize which area to focus on or to go to market first within the healthcare sector?
Yeah, great question. So it's actually a combination of a couple different criteria. So first and foremost, right, we build the solution for a need. And so identify the needs, of the hospital and the value our solution can bring. How strong, how urgent are the needs, the demands, for different kind of services, and how well our robot can actually meet the needs, to help them. And then the second criteria is the time and cost to actually develop the right solution. What we believe is not about building a robot, but it's a bit about building a solution, right? So we really take into consideration all the different features, capabilities to meet that the demand in the hospital. And then third, because we're in healthcare, so regulatory requirement pathways are very important. And so, we'll have to think about, all right, so how long would it take us to get to market if we have to go through all these requirements? So that's, one of the reasons why we're staying away from surgical robots, even though it's a very, very big, very, very important sector, because then you need to get like all the FDA approvals and all these really lengthy clinical trials and things like that. And then the fourth is the sales process. Who are the champion in the hospital that will help us to push for the adoption of technology. Which department are we selling into? What kind of priority do they have? What budget do they have? And last but not least, the procurement process. Because usually sales into healthcare is quite lengthy.
I like that you are commercially minded, right? Because it's so easy to get, especially in deep tech,
Mm-hmm.
to get into the whole cycle of having an idea, building the products, and then spend years and years to find the product market fit instead of actually working out the sales cycles and then defining, okay, what is the problem that I can deploy the robot first and create the cash flow for the company. And
Yeah.
then after that, after I build the customer base and then I will extend the range of the product to solve other problems that maybe one day you get into surgical, but you're
Yeah.
not going to have to go through the whole let's build a customer base for these very complicated things, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we believe that identifying the right question is already half the battle, right? And then you build a solution to answer to that question. Uh, and then you're absolutely right. A lot of deep tech companies, they started out with a solution, some technology, and when you have a hammer, you look everywhere as a nail, right? And so you try to force the solution to other problems. But then the adoption is going to be a lot trickier and more difficult, and you don't have the right solution anyway. So yeah, uh, totally agree with you.
So what was the question that you figured out?
So for us, the question right now is for healthcare. So what are the most urgent needs in healthcare, especially in the light of labor shortages? And so disinfection is one, virtual nursing, virtual care is another angle that we're focusing on. Our robots are fully autonomous, by the way. You mentioned that the nurse was driving the robot, but it actually fully autonomous, and so it can navigate itself. And so no one needs to monitor or control the robot when it was doing its task.
Yeah, it actually makes a lot of sense because if I'm a hospital CFO or CEO nowadays, and I'll just I'll have a lot of headaches around like getting enough of doctors, enough of nurse. I used to live in the UK, and that is the constant difficulties and challenge for the NHS, which is the National Health Service, right? And but I just at the time or even now, I'm not aware that there is such a robotics solutions available on the market. So I don't even know that I can solve the problem like from outside of the box that I'm in. So I guess uh, is there a big piece of your work? It's about educating the market that there is such a solution.
Yeah, that's a great question. So fortunately, we don't have to because hospital already starting to adopt new technologies. For example, like the UV solution, they turning to UV as like the new standard for disinfection, and so we don't have to educate the market. That's another piece that I think very important when some company, when the founders looking to build a new company and then a product, right? So how much of the education market education that we need to do. Because if you have to educate the market, it's take a lot of effort and a lot of time to get to market. For us, hospital already adopting different UV technology. They already have like virtual nursing program that essentially having the nurse provide certain services through just a screen, right? And so now we're coming in, we're providing a much better technology so that they can almost like upgrade what they are using.
So what is the main difference, the main advancement that you offer in the market compared to other, let's say, disinfection solutions or nursing virtual nursing solutions?
Yeah, so for the disinfection, most of the solution in the market, on the market right now, are stationary. And so they're using UV light, and someone has to push the machine around in the room, which is
Oh,
kind of creepy, right? Yeah, because
yeah.
UV get blocked, then it won't be able to clean, disinfect, kill the bacteria and pathogens, right? And so someone has to push it around. But UV
That's
is
what I
very
had in
harmful
mind.
around, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But UV is very harmful around human. It's causing cancer. It will burn your eyes, and so we automate the whole process. So you just push the robot into the room. You go outside. You start the cycle, and then it will just like autonomously go around.
Yeah, this got me like so excited. I'm so person. I just like sit in the room and imagine like how the world is a lot of these automation. No one even need to touch anything. From the
Yeah,
autonomous car or autonomous plane to now like autonomous like hospital. And it makes a lot of sense, right? Because when you
yeah,
really think about it, it's a bit crazy to me that nowadays I go into the hospital, I sit down in the waiting room, and if I get real bad, I can get sick because it's so dirty. No
yes,
one like ever clean
yeah.
it,
It's
or
one
they
of the
clean it, but it's
dirtiest
just
place.
not
Yeah, on
yeah.
earth.
And then if in an unfortunate case where I need to go to be in the operations room, there's a big chance that I will die, not because of the disease itself, but because of some
Yeah,
infections, because someone didn't clean the rooms like very well,
that's
right?
right. Yeah, it was very scary. This is why all the cross infection rates are on the rise, because it's disinfection is very time consuming and labor intensive, and of course when people get tired and rushed, they will miss the spot, right?
And
Uh,
hospital are good like launch pads, right? Because in reality, they have a lot of human intensive, like quote unquote, like dirty job that needs to be done, and there's a lot of just form filling,
yes,
which
yes,
is
absolutely.
essentially doesn't need like a human at all.
Yeah.
So thanks for the description. Now I get a better idea of the technology that you are creating and the environment, the sandbox that you put it in. But I feel like even with airports or in hospitality or in real estate, there can be a lot of applications as well.
Hmm.
You seem to like to do a lot of hard things. You take
Yes.
robotics and AI, which is like the two hardest thing in the world, and then you tackle like an
Healthcare.
industry with healthcare, which is
Yeah.
like full of compliance.
Yeah.
Just So from the commercial side, when you have, like a development cycle, and then you have a testing cycle, and then you have compliance. So how does the sales cycle work? Covering like all of this, how do you make the business side of things work?
Yeah, so for the sales cycle is usually long in healthcare, right? 12 to 18 months. So we start early conversation with hospitals to get them interested in our product. And the good news is we have sold into over 100 hospitals uh, on various
Mm.
products. And so this is like amazing customer base for us to get a lot of feedback, a lot of insight on use. And also because they are existing customers, it's a lot shorter, faster for us to offer other products to sell to the same hospital, sort of like a cross sales approach. And so these help us really shorten the sales cycle. And to your point, right, healthcare is very challenging, but because it's challenging, it's almost like a natural barrier of entry for other companies to come in, right? And so now that we have a foothold in different hospitals and then start building out this fleet of robots that you kind of see behind me, I think the speed of adoption of deploying robot is going to accelerate for us. And so, it's very, very exciting.
Let me summarize what you just said. So from my understanding, this is your strategy, right? So you go to the market with the very obvious solutions to a big problem, which is like disinfections.
Mhm.
And this is your way in with the hospital. And this is your way of building like your customer base. And then over time, you will have like, let's say, a pipeline
Yep.
already have a relationship with and then you already have like data and feedback from
Right.
the customers, and then
Yes.
you can actually use those to provide you with insights on what robots to build next, like to
That's right.
extend your product range. And at that time you already have the customer base, and then you sort of wanting to layer the product so that it also kind of becomes like a um, competitive advantage, because now you don't compete on just disinfection robots, but you are competing on a full range of
Yep.
hospital automations
That's
robots
right. Yeah.
doing different things, right? Nursing and disinfections, and maybe operations room, and so many other things. Cleaning the roof, maybe. Roof cleaning, like
At some point, yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. You're absolutely right. And so like almost like a one-stop shop for different automation needs, right, for the hospital. And so hospital people, they very busy. They don't want to have to like go look at like 10 different providers for what they need. And so we fit into this yeah, like space very well.
I think it's a smart go-to-market strategy, and I also have a feeling that you use the first 8 years of the company to build up all the foundations in terms of the IPs and also the customer base. And from a goals and expansion perspective, uh, I can tell that you are ready for scaling, right?
Yeah.
OhmniLabs has a global footprint with robots deployed in over 50 countries. Congratulations on that. And what strategy have been instrumental in expanding your market reach internationally?
Yeah, so we have been working with distributors around the world who know the market, the local markets well, and already have like a network of salespeople, of customers. And we design our products to be very reliable and durable so that it takes less effort in terms of like maintenance and service. And we also have this modularity approach, right? So we make our robots kind of like a different module that you can combine And so if things break, we'll just need to ship a certain module for the distributors to change them. And so we're really saving on the cost of repair and maintenance. And again, highlight the 3D printing, lean manufacturing approach, right? Because then we can set up the printing offices, unit where the local markets are. And then when they need the part, then we just use the printers to produce the part. And so it's a lot faster and efficient.
Going forward, are you still pursuing this global strategy, or are you putting your foot down in a few markets and regions? Because I've seen that you've been in the MENA region in the past few weeks, visiting a few different countries, right?
Yeah, so definitely exploring the region here in the Middle East for our robots. I'm very excited about the speed of adoption of new technology here, and also the openness of the hospitals, of the people to new technology. And so we're looking to build a base here in the Middle East, not only for market adoption, but we'll also work on like R&D, robotics development to leverage the talent pool here. Seems like there are a lot of really good engineering talent in Saudi, for example, and so we're hoping to tap into that.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. On one side, it's on the commercial aspect for OhmniLabs, but on the other side, I'm very excited about your AI expertise, and I can see that you'll be able to spread the knowledge of not only AI but how to build successful startup and exceeding them in this region and globally.
Yeah, thank you. And then I hope that we can share a lot of these through your podcast. Seems like you're doing a lot of interesting work there as well. And so yeah.
That's what I'm here for. Ahead, what are OhmniLabs' future scaling and expansion plan?
Yeah, so I guess there are two directions that we can take. One is sort of like vertically, and then the other one is horizontally. So vertically, we'll continue to expand our distribution of existing products like the UV disinfection, the virtual nursing. We already have, like partners that are, for example, GPOs, right? Group purchasing organization in the US that give us access to 250,000 clinics, 4,000 hospitals. And so now we just need to really scale out, the adoption of our existing technology. And then we're also looking to expand to other markets like MENA or India or Southeast Asia. Our robots can really help the hospitals in these regions to deal with labor shortages and improving quality of care as well. And then horizontally, we continue to develop new types of solutions, really taking the feedback from our customers, the data, the insight, so that we can identify, again, the needs and where we can make the most impact in the shortest time. And so we have a couple of different ideas. So for example, delivery robot to bring food, medicine, equipment to the patient room or to the operating room. And so these, are the different solution that on the roadmap, and very, very excited to see how far we can go, with our platform approach.
Yes, what I like about what you do is actually how you do it, right? So there's always a missionary angle to what you do, and I call this quote unquote like build companies that change the world, and you are very like insisting on that, and you have been always actively involved in not only the robotics side, the startup side, but the community and non-profit projects. So how does your work in these non-profit area influenced your approach to entrepreneurship and technology development?
But my favorite case story is
Mm.
about pediatric patient, the children patient.
Mm.
And so we were deploying our robots, the telepresence robots, at the Super Bowl last year, working with the Phoenix Children's Hospital, so that the patient can dive into the robot and hanging out with the Super Bowl players. They were asking Rihanna, question during the halftime show, right? And to these children, these are like life-changing experience because some of them have been stuck in the hospital rooms for a really long time. Let's say, they have like some of them have like cancer, and so they have like immunity issue, right? So they cannot go outside the room. And so, being able to drive around and watching the Super Bowl, interacting with people at the event is exciting and fun for these children. Social impact is very important to me, and so yes, to your point, a lot of the work that we have done always put the social impact as one of the North Star, right? The guiding metrics for us. And some of the things that we learned from, or I personally, I learned from the nonprofit community side would be like, you will have to prioritize. Basically, we have to pick, the right target, have the strategic development so that we can deliver fast but sustainable growth and maximize the impact. Right. And so, that's something that it's been very beneficial. And then second thing is we got to pay attention to the community and the ecosystem, because as you're building out this community of AI, of robot developers, and the ecosystem of, let's say, application developers on top of the platform, you can amplify the reach, not only in terms of product development, but also delivery of different services, right? And then the third thing is the bootstrapping and lean mentality. So build things in a way, innovative way, so that we can still build fast, but it doesn't cost like crazy to develop these things.
And can you tell me about some of the community or nonprofit projects that you lead over the world?
Yeah, so I've been doing a couple of different projects, a lot related to like education. So for example, one is Viet AI. Basically, we bring in the AI educational program from Stanford and Google back to Vietnam to train the students, the engineers there. And so we have been doing multiple courses. We have like a full curriculum now, so that people can get from like not knowing anything about AI to become like an expert in deep learning, in large language models, and like computer vision, for example. And so this is super exciting because AI is changing the world,
Oh,
right?
I'm really excited about the potential and also the directions and the leadership of OhmniLabs. And um, I wish you all the best in bringing better healthcare solutions like to all of us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me on the podcast. It's been fun.
Yes. All right. Have a great day and see
Yeah,
you in the
yeah,
next episode,
yeah.
everyone. Bye.